Leaves fall silent and peaceful. Hold the breath. Exhale. Oh, regret. Which tree are you? Snap.
The new moon, the new year, comes whether we are ready or not. As I watched the moon diminish in the night sky, I wanted to shout out, "Stop! Give us more time. Give us more time to get control of this virus and put it behind us. Give us more time to get beyond the hurricanes and the floods. Give us more time to put out the fires and get us more time to put down the guns, to feed and clothe and house those in desperate need. Give us more time to make sure there is justice for women and girls and people with uteruses who are oppressed by patriarchal gods in Afghanistan, throughout the world, and right here. But the time is here. I see the glimmer of the new moon of Tishrei, the new moon of the new year, smiling at us, telling us that ready or not, she is here to gently light the way. And so we will do our best to offer the prayers and perform the rites that will help each of us feel the holiness of this time that is upon us, of these days of deepening and these days of awe, from our homes, our sanctuary, and from our hearts. We will do best to draw on the traditions that have redeemed generations during more challenging times than even these. And we will do our best to learn the lessons of these holy days, and ready or not, have them deliver us to the full moon of Sukkot, prepared to face the challenges before us, renewed and ready for a sweeter year, a healthier year, and a year closer to justice and to peace. We are so grateful for our membership and our leadership at CRC, and it really is an honor to invite our president, Natalie Schatzman, and our first person, Matt, members, leaders, partners in the work that we do here at CRC to help us light the way into these holy days.
Baruch atah
these holy days begin with our standing most vulnerable before the open ark, as generations of our people have done, throwing open the doors of our sanctuaries, making sure that no one is left out, making sure that these gates are open to all who would enter. We know that there are people streaming from all over the world with us tonight. We invite you to enter into this Sukkot Shalom with us, this shelter of peace, to stand with us before this open ark, as our people have done for generations, where they have said, Hineni mimas, here am I, and declared a radical presence before all that is greater.
Here I am, planted in front of you, my conspirators, in prayer, to pray for myself and on behalf of my community. Some of the people here I know, I love them. Some of the people here I don't know, I love them too. Empty me of everything that obstructs from all that I love the most. I am a vessel, an instrument, a harp on the edge of the bed, a northern wind blowing through me. Play me like a harp, like a flute, like an oud. Empty me, empty me. As for me, I will love as purely and as whole as I can. This year I pray that our prayers, our actions, our lives be rescued from the externals. I pray that our prayers rise uninterrupted like doves straight to heaven. I pray that we are guided to the sacred heart of the world, that we never lose our yearning for peace and depth and beauty. With all our prayers, our song poems, our actions today and all days, nothing in God's creation is ever lost. Bless us, O God, one God, only God, lonely God. Bless everything. Amen.
Amen. B'chodesh hashvi'i be'echad l'chodesh. In the 7th month, at her new moon, there will be a sacred gathering proclaimed by the sound of the shofar, the sound of longing, the sound of desire. Ready or not, the new year is here, with her new moon daring us to deepen in our dedication from our homes and our hearts to redeem the past, claim the present as we prepare for another year of challenge, never giving up on our hope, our tikva, that 5782 will be a better year.
Hello, year 5,782 since the creation of the world as we reckon time. Every year a prayer for the future. We meet the challenge of the future with more than a wish, with more than Happy New Year. I give to you a gift, an intention, an understanding between us. We are trying to know something when knowing is not everything. The transformational images we share these days of awe, 5,782. This year the pay, 80, and the bet, 2. Pay, mouth, communication, language, bet, bait, house, the first letter of our book. By the Midrash, God created the world as a home for the spirit. Everything emerges from the bet, from the first letter of the book, from the bait, from the home. Everything emerges from the home, from the letter, from the first letter of our book, one day at a time. Amen.
Amen. Let's call each other to prayer with the words of the Baruch Hu.
We are scattered, necessarily so, but we are scattered at a time where we should be connected, where we should be together. I'm here with the 8, 9, 10 of us, and all of you are wherever it is that you are. But I really do feel your presence. I feel connected to you, and I hope you feel connected to us. And so I ask that we take a minute and imagine our connections. Imagine no separation between each of us and the natural world. Imagine no separation from each of us and one another. And dare to imagine no separation between each of us and whatever it is you consider to be the divine, something bigger than even all of us. Imagine our connections. Take a deep breath. Fill yourself with the knowledge that we are one, even when we are apart. And on page 13, with our High Holiday Trio, let us sing the words of the sacred Shema.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם B'shivtecha b'veitecha, uvlektecha v'aderech, ushokbecha uvkumecha, ukshartam le'ot al yadecha, v'hayu letotafot bein einecha, uchtavtam al mizuzot beitecha, uvisharecha. Leman tizkeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai, v'hitem kedoshim le'lohechem, ani Adonai Elohechem, asher hotzeti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim, lihiot lachem le'Elohim, ani Adonai Elohechem. We take a measurement between the way things are and the way we know they can be, the way they ought to be. We take time for thoughts, for vision of redemption, of how we get from here to there, how we get from slavery to liberation, from injustice to justice, from a world wounded to a world repaired. We follow our story where we know that history is not stationary, that things can be changed for the better. Michamocha, page 16.
Mi chamocha ba'im Adonai, mi chamocha lenedar kodesh, norat lilot osefele. Malechutecha ra'uvanecha bokei hayam lifnei Moshe. Zeili anu v'yameru Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed.
Page 17. Another redemption prayer. One that invokes the name of this synagogue building, Sukkot Shalom. And most often when we think about a shelter of peace, we think of it in the context of rest, of Shabbat. And yet, we create a Sukkot Shalom, a shelter of peace, also when we work, when we do honorable work. And of course, this Rosh Hashanah, this Erev Rosh Hashanah comes at the end of Labor Day, the day that we celebrate work and workers. And through this pandemic, of course, we've been in awe of what we've been calling front-line workers. Folks who had to go out every single day, the height of the virus, through it all, and do the work that had to be done. And so this Labor Day, we must honor those workers, those frontline workers, whether they're at restaurants or hospitals, the cemeteries. We honor them, but it's not just about a day. It's about treating people with dignity and equity. So on this Labor Day that ends with Erev Rosh Hashanah, we give thanks for the shelter of peace that is created in large help with those who labor, those who work. May their shelter of peace cover us and them and everyone. Take this soul, living in my skin and bones. Take this soul and let it sing. Yahweh, Yahweh, always pain before a child is born. Yahweh, Yahweh, it's always dark before the dawn. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu L'Shalom V'hamidenu Shomreinu L'chaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu L'Shalom V'hamidenu Shomreinu L'chaim. Allow us to lie and to rise in peace with shalom. Allow us to lie and rise in peace. Shalom. Allow us to lie and rise in peace. Shalom. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu L'Shalom V'hamidenu Shomreinu L'chaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu L'Shalom V'hamidenu Shomreinu L'chaim. Something that I'm learning slowly is that everything's going to be all right doesn't mean that everything's going to be perfect. It just means that everything's going to have to be all right. Everything's going 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 to be all right. Everything's gonna be alright. Everything's gonna be alright. Everything's gonna be alright. Ufros aleinu sukat, sukat shlomecha. Ufros aleinu sukat, shlomecha, and cover over us tonight with a sukat shalom. A shelter of peace for you, for those you love. A shelter of peace tonight. A shelter of peace this year for those who chop wood and those who draw water, for everyone who dwells on earth. May we feel and be protected and comforted by that shelter of peace. Amen.
I never quite believe it as much as when Rabbi Randy says that it's all going to be all right. There are these words, a line from the Psalms that the ancient rabbis put before we say the Amidah. It's the only part of the service that the Talmud calls prayer. Adonai sifatai tiftach, ufi yagid tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. It makes sense on its face why we would say these words as an introduction before prayer. But there's also something so subversive about these lines because our tradition holds they were first uttered by King David after he had suffered an unthinkable loss, uttered in pain, uttered in anger, uttered in spite. God, he seems to be saying, if you want my prayer, you're going to have to do it yourself. It can be so hard to find hope in our world right now when we look out. But if there is any lesson that Jewish history, that Jewish tradition can offer us, it is how to respond to a world that can feel hopeless, how to act in a place where it can feel like compassion and justice and decency are slipping away. And so, before we begin our prayer, the first of this new year of 5782, first we cry out, perhaps in joy for the possibilities, perhaps in spite for the pain, perhaps a mixture of it all. Adonai sifetai tiftach, ufi yagid tehilatecha.
Ya la 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 Adonai. Ya la 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 sifetai tiftach. Ya la 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 ufi yagid. Ufi yagid tehilatecha. Ya na 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 Adonai. Ya na 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 sifetai tiftach. Ya na 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 ufi yagid. Ufi yagid tehilatecha. Ya na 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 Adonai. Ya na 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 sifetai tiftach. Ya na 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 ufi yagid. Ufi yagid tehilatecha. Ya na 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 Adonai. Ya na 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 sifetai tiftach. Ya na 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 ufi yagid. Ufi yagid tehilatecha. Ya la 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 Adonai. Ya la 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 sifetai tiftach. Ya la 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 ufi yagid. Ufi yagid tehilatecha.
Continue with the Amidah on page 18. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak v'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Leah v'Elohei Rachel Ha'el Hagadol Hagibur v'Hanora El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim V'Konei Hakol V'Zocher Chasdei Avot V'Imahot U'Mevii Gula Livnei V'neihem Lema'an Shemo B'Ahava Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magen Baruch Atah Adonai Magen Avraham Ve'Ezrat Sarah.
Chai החיים וכתבנו בספר החיים למענך אלוהים חיים למענך אלוהים חיים.
The Sefer Chaim, words that are traditionally only a part of our liturgy during these days of awe, have become an evening lullaby for our household, a song that Daniel has sung to our kids almost every night before bed. And these words are inserted into our prayer for peace and ask that we are remembered and are inscribed for a year of blessing, a year of peace, a year of sustenance when we have enough to share, a year of health, and a year of goodness. This is a blessing that we all need, especially now. So with these words, we pray, we hope for more peace in our community, more peace in our world, more peace within our relationships, and more peace within our own hearts.
בספר חיים, בספר חיים, ברכה ושלום ופרנסה טובה. בספר חיים, בספר חיים, בספר חיים, ברכה ושלום ופרנסה טובה. נזכר וניכתב לפניך, לפניך. נזכר וניכתב לפניך, לפניך. בספר חיים, בספר חיים, בספר חיים, ברכה ושלום ופרנסה טובה. אנחנו בכל עמך בישראל, לחיים לחיים טובים ולשלום. בספר חיים, בספר חיים, ברכה ושלום ופרנסה טובה. Shana Tova. You want to say Shana Tova to everyone?
Shana Tova!
And so we continue on our own through page 26 with the words of our hearts, the meditations of our souls, as Leslie, Alan, and Andrew sing Ye You, the Ratzo.
Shalom Nimromah Uyas
Shalom Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael V'imru
This plea that we are about to say, Avinu Malkeinu Imenu Malketenu, our parent, our guardian, our safeguard, comes when we need it the most. It is these sacred and ancient words that we return to year after year, this haunting formula that reminds us of the capriciousness of our world, that there is so much outside of our control, so much we have no say over. And so we call out to something greater than ourselves for comfort, the image of a parent, a caregiver, of the gates opening, a time when we can start over, a time when the cycle resets. This year, as we once again say these words, we ask for nourishment, for guidance, for support, and for love, no matter what comes our way in 5782.
Avinu Malkeinu, Shema Koleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Chatanu lefanecha. Avinu Malkeinu, Chamol aleinu. Ve'al aleinu v'ta'apeinu.
Avinu Malkeinu Kale Dever Me'aleinu Avinu Malkeinu Kale Forsai Umastin Me'aleinu
Avinu
Last few days, I've been seeing people from CRC, and they tell me, we're going to see you on the screen on Monday night. And I tell each and every one of them, well, I'll blow you a kiss. So I knew it was time to give up my hobby of making physical scrapbooks when my kids started arguing over who wasn't going to have to keep them when the time comes. But then the pandemic arrived, and I figured I was well positioned to chronicle this once-in-a-lifetime event by continuing for a bit longer. After all, it was only going to last a couple of months, right? So now, a year and a half later, I have, through pictures, clippings, and documents, a record of personal, of family, of societal moments as COVID has raged and shaken all of us from one new normal to another, including CRC moments, of course. A quick flip through the pages of my albums for these congregational moments revealed dozens of artifacts and photos of the phone calls we made to check in with every synagogue member in those first weeks of quarantine, filled with uncertainty and dread. The crew that formed to do drive-by oneg celebrations in front of the homes of families after their online bar and bat mitzvahs so they could counter the remoteness of it all. Correspondence with the first member to encounter a serious bout with COVID as they waited for care in the emergency room. They pulled through, thank goodness. Our effort with Northside churches to deliver groceries to at-risk families, interrupting virtual Rosh Hashanah services 1 year ago with our response to the death of Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg of blessed memory. Posting powerful Voices of Black Jews videos made by our members. Dozens and dozens of cars rolling into our parking lot to drop off winter coats for homeless shelters. Online ukulele lessons, online Hebrew school, online Psalms, and a second online congregational Seder. Our Mitzvah Farm crew, continuing throughout the entire pandemic its integral mission of growing fresh produce to help bring nourishment to our food-insecure neighbors. Our first in-person service in over a year around the Lag BaOmer campfire, and much more. While I am surely gratified by all these ways that CRC, our community, is maintaining connection through this continuing public health crisis, I have no doubt that our sudden and unprecedented need to keep a distance from one another has still led to a fraying of our relationships to congregational life. The same way this pandemic has created a sad dissembling of how we relate to so many important people, communities, and institutions that are so important to us. So, as we slowly and in necessary fits and starts, hopefully begin to return to something resembling normalcy at the synagogue, I would like to attempt to reintroduce us in a way to CRC. A reintroduction for those who have been part of CRC for decades and for those who've joined us since the lockdown in 2020 and who know us largely so far as a solely virtual congregation. The way I want to do this is to briefly enumerate what to me are CRC's North Star guiding principles, an evolving set of goals that started with the hearts and minds of Rabbi Susan and our founders, who in very recent memory set to create an alternative to existing synagogues, one without pretense and trappings, one that could touch us, inspire us, and make positive change in our lives and in the world. As befitting these days of awe and our acknowledgement that teshuvah is a process of transformation and growth, the language I want to use is that of striving who we hope to be at our best. We strive to be an egalitarian community, one that embraces anyone who wants to join us, whether one time, occasionally, or all the time. People from a myriad of walks of life and economic circumstances, and we attempt to encounter each one of us on a soul level. Whoever we are, whatever our background, we are not judged, but instead equally respected and loved. We strive to be a synagogue that teaches that working for the common good is a clear Jewish value, and to get there, we must figure out wise and compassionate ways to level the playing field. We strive to be a congregation that is authentically Jewish, observing Jewish life with integrity and sincerity, while at the same time fully recognizing the validity and blessings of traditions other than Judaism, many of which are represented by CRC's many visitors, as well as by those who are our own members, friends, and allies who are themselves not Jewish. We strive to be an arena that is not phony, sanitized, or scripted, where if what is happening as we gather is sweet, we rejoice and praise, and if what is happening is awful, we mourn and comfort. And most often, both are happening. So we will rejoice and mourn at the same service with spontaneity, humor, and empathy. Above all, we are part of this community in order to serve one another. We strive to provide an environment that promotes inclusion, compassion, and healing to those who have been marginalized by religion's unfortunate tendency to ostracize and judge, including women, LGBTQIA individuals, people of color, immigrants, and any member of any vulnerable group who are drawn to our Sukkot Shalom, our shelter of peace. We were founded to be a pro-choice congregation, advocating for every woman's right to make their own decisions about their own bodies. We strive to be radically present and lovingly nurturing for our precious children, reminding ourselves that their education here must be about more than just the whats, hows, and whys of Judaism. Through the quick passage, and it is quick, from religious and Hebrew schools, bar and bat mitzvahs, and confirmation, we need to continually model for our young people the values of compassion, moral action to bring more justice and peace, kindness, hope, empathy, inclusion, and the sharing of resources. We strive to be an urban congregation in more than simply our city zip code, meaning that we will connect with our neighbors, cross the Delmar divide, and revel in diversity and cutting-edge thought, culture, and action. We strive to be a green congregation, taking measures to reduce our footprint on the earth and remaining mindful of all the ways we can reduce the damage to the holy and beautiful natural world that is trying, despite our resistance, to sustain life on this planet, which is our shared home. We strive to create ever-expanding opportunities to study, search, interpret, question, create, dialogue, and organize. And we want to always teach Torah through progressive, ethical, non-hierarchical, non-chauvinistic, and non-triumphalist lenses. That is who we strive to be, especially in these most challenging times. The scrapbook that is our tradition tells us that we built and then had to rebuild our only temple. And then, after the second one was destroyed, we started all over again with a decentralized system of intertwined but distinct communities all over the globe. We have been down before, but not once have we been out. Using our visions of what we are striving to be and the spirit of renewal that is the promise of Rosh Hashanah, I believe we can emerge from this extremely challenging time of separation to come together again, to carry on loving one another, taking care of each other, and closing the spaces between us. We can become an even better picture of ourselves, of our sacred CRC community, and even we can build a better version of the world. L'Shana Tova.
Thank you, Randy. It's a high bar. And so we come to the Elenu. Are we at the Elenu? I think we are. We're at the Elenu, which is perfect because you told us what we have to continue to take upon us, right? Elenu. And this particular Elenu, this melody. There was a time that this melody was used by Jews who had to hide their Jewishness. And they would sing this melody as a way, because it was used by the church as well. So it was used by Jews to connect. And so our dear Bonya said this melody had to be in every service to remind us again and again what it is we must take Elenu upon us.
Bonya and the great Elenu. When we come to Elenu, we are almost cooked. We have moved from the singular Shema Yisrael to the plural Elenu. It's on us. That's the loftiness of our Loshen Kodesh. We ought to be able to speak poetry with the simplest of language. Aleinu, it's on us. Bonya was among the freest and the most loyal to standards artists I have known. He was free in improvisation and unafraid to enter the space beyond comfort where creativity happens. He was also loyal to pure and rooted postures. This congregation commissioned him to create an entire repertoire for the Days of Awe, and he insisted during these holidays to bow to traditional forms. When we say, Va'anachnu korim umishtachavim umodim, it's literal, and he snatched back the older melody, created an arrangement expressing the old truths. Excuse me while I kiss the earth. Thankful, thus this melody, thus the Aleinu Hagadol, thus.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'Adon ha'kol l'teit gedula l'yotzer b'reishit shelo asanu k'goyei haratzot velo samanu k'mishpechot adama shelo sam chelkenu kahem v'goralenu kechol amonam va'anachnu korim umishtachavim modim lifnei melech malkei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu.
Jim also wrote these words. We are dreamers, people with a vision. We are people who have not allowed our dream of a more perfect time to be tainted or trampled by those who have threatened to take our dream away from us. That more perfect time we speak of is a picture of our own highest, inextinguishable imaginings. Can we imagine a completed time, a time of peace, of completedness? Yes, we do imagine it. That is always the point. On that day of our completed time, we recognize the relatedness of all things. All things are connected. Its name is one, and that one is God. On that day is our awakening. It is not the end of history, it's the very beginning. On that day, we begin the upward course to a more perfect time, ever arriving, always becoming, always becoming. As we near the end of the service, we know that these holy days leave a great space at our tables, in our pews, in our homes, in our hearts. We remember those who have died in this past year and those who have died in years past. This is a time we remember all of them. This is a time that people would start to give me little slips of paper to make sure I would have their loved one's name for the Yizkor service at the end of Yom Kippur Day. And because we'll be a little bit in person this year, I'll take those slips of paper when we come together. We'll make sure we have all of your names for our Yizkor service. There's a verse from the Song of Songs that we usually speak at weddings. Ani ledodi v'dodi li. It says, I am my beloved's and my beloved is mine. On one level, it's about love, but I think that it also teaches us that we belong to each other. And this belonging is what gives meaning to every breath, and this belonging is also what makes us so vulnerable that we break from our losses. And some, we break so much we can never be the same. For years, I've taught that the holiday cycle is meant to push us all year to be ready for this new year, to push us to be ready to be able to wish each other a sweet new year and mean it in spite of what we know can happen. Because the new year is all about renewed hope in a better future. Something new is drawn into the world that rebuilds our trust in ourselves, in others, and creation, as imperfect as it all is. Without awareness and without a practice, we could miss the very opportunity that will give our lives meaning, will help us move forward, and will bring healing to our bruised souls and broken hearts. We honor our beloveds with the Kaddish as it celebrates life and defies death. We remember each of them with every act of kindness. So I ask you, wherever you are, if you're able, to please stand with me. Please stand with us as we pray that the memory and perhaps even the presence of good people who have died this year and in years past will bless our days, and then we will say the prayer that holds us even when we dare not be held.
May the memory of good people bless our days. Bless our days. Bless our days. זכר צדיק לברכה.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, בעלמא דברך ירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי לכל בית ישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם עולמי עולמיה, יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה בריחו, לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דאמירן בעלמא ואמרו אמן. יהי שלמה רבה מן שמיה וחיים, עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום. עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל, ואמרו אמן. Before we leave everyone with a blessing, we're going to invite Alan to offer the festival Kiddush. So if you are at home or with friends, with family, we hope you'll lift a cup of life, a cup of blessing. What we say at the wedding is, this is the cup of life. The sweetness in life will be sweeter because we share it. The bitterness less painful because we have each other to walk through the world with. So take that cup of life in your hand and let's make space for joy.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei pri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol am, v'romamanu mikol lashon, v'kiddushanu b'mitzvotav. V'titen lanu Adonai Eloheinu b'yahava, et yom hazikaron hazeh yom teruah, mikra kodesh, זכר יציאת מצרים, כי באנו ובחרת ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים, ודברך אמת וקיים לעד. ברוך אתה אדוני ומקדש ישראל ויום הזיכרון. לחיים.
L'chaim. L'chaim. We should have had a l'chaim for everybody. So we'll invite everyone to come and join. Gratitude to Alan and Leslie, Andrew. Gratitude to the people who are streaming and making this happen. I hope you can feel the gates opening. We know that the gates of tshuva, the gates of transformation and change are always open, but there are other gates that we open at the new year. Gates of forgiveness, gates of justice, gates of rachamim, of compassion. And so I hope you can feel that we have together opened some of those gates so that a chidush, something new, can be drawn into the world for this new year. God knows we need it. So before we leave you with a blessing, I'm going to ask Alan to offer a shehechianu for something new.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה.
Thank you, God, for giving us life, for sustaining it, and bringing us to this moment in time that we dare to celebrate a new year, 5782, together. And we're going to offer a blessing for you to take into your hearts and your homes, to share with all the people whose lives you touch. Yevarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. May God bless you and keep you safe and healthy. I want you to know that before we started this tonight, we all took a test. That's why we don't have masks.
We passed the test.
We passed the test. We're trying to be really safe. We believe in vaccinations. We believe in masks. We want to keep everybody safe so that we can get beyond this. So, Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka.
And may we be filled with light. May we be surrounded by light, the light from the natural world, the light that comes from each and every soul, and that divine light that keeps us on the path and fills us with warmth and goodness and love.
And most of all, may we have more peace somehow because of what we have done tonight and what we're going to do during these 10 days, during this year of 5782. Through tshuva, through tzedakah, through tefillah, may there be more peace in our lives, in our city, and in our world. And we say,
Amen.
Amen.
Shana Tova.
Shana Tova.
A good and a sweet year.